I was adjusting the measurements on my mannequin the other day when suddenly the great sage came to me, speaking words of wisdom.
It's easily 106.
What is?
106 centimeters.
I knew what I had to do. So I started by just creating a quick sketch of what it was that I wanted to create. Quick shirt, a belt, added the trim, and then the coat. And there we have it, the finished sketch of Tsunade's outfit. So, full disclosure, I did actually make this shirt twice. The first time that I made it, I just wasn't happy with it. It wasn't sitting right, it wasn't the right length, I didn't do the trim right. So I'm not going to put that footage in because it's just going to make the video way too long and even more boring than it probably already is. Although honestly, now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if this is long enough. I wanted it to sort of hit here, and I still have to hem it. So once we hem this, sorry, I'm on my tippy toes because I didn't put the camera up high enough. Like this at the back is very high. Oh, do I just start again? Alright, I've decided to move on from the shirt for now because I need a win. So I'm going to move on to the coat, which after doing some research, aka Googling it, I learned is a modern version of a Japanese garment called a kaori. I hope I'm saying that right. So I'm going to move on to that. I am going to make it by basically creating a square. I should use a ruler for this. Like this, for the back, a square like this for the front with two pieces, and then some sleeves like this. It's very boxy, just like that. Yeah, and that's basically it. I may need to add some kind of neck hole in here, maybe. But we will figure that out as we go. Okay, so this is the fabric that I got. It is just a cotton, like a cotton poplin. Alright, so I am going to start with the shoulder seam. So I've got the back piece in there and then the two front pieces just next to each other. I think it might make it a little bit awkward to do the binding, but I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it. Okay, so I've gone and put it on really quickly just to see what the neckline is doing, and it is a bit weird. So what I'm going to do is unpick maybe just a couple of inches of that shoulder seam, cut it down the front, and then make a little neck hole in the back. So let's go maybe 6 inches down to there, and we're just gonna taper it in like that. Same on this side. I'm just gonna taper it in. tape, and then I'm gonna make just a little round sort of neckline in the back. So I want it to meet this part and sort of curve like this, and I'm just gonna wing it and hope for the best. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. Let's try it on again. It is looking much better. I could even take it out probably another inch and taper it down even further, maybe to about there. I might just put a pin in there. Yeah. Cool. Let's have a go. Yeah, okay. That is feeling much better. It's looking good in the back, it's looking good in the front, and we could even taper that slightly more so that it feels straight, even though it's kind of not. Fantastic. Time to put the sleeves on. So I just went and finished those shoulder seams. Sorry, you can't actually see that. I just went and finished those shoulder seams with my overlocker. Now I'm going to attach the sleeves. Alright, time to sew. Okay, so apparently I forgot to hit record, but I sewed the shoulder seam. So now I'm going to go and sew the rest of the sleeve. So this seam here, and then the side seam, so this seam here. So I was just sewing the seam along the edge here, and you'll notice all of a sudden my machine stops working. Cue the little bit of Taylor Swift that I was listening to, because you have to hear my reaction. Oh. Okay, I am not sure what happened here, but this is what my machine's decided to give me. So I'm gonna do some troubleshooting and I'll be back. So I basically just went through and did some troubleshooting of my machine. I took the cover plate off, I took the bobbin casing out, gave everything a really good dust, a really good clean, and then I rethreaded the whole machine in the hopes that it would fix it. It did not. It turned out it was actually just a really simple issue, but I did fix it in the end, which is nice. Alright, it is a new day. I fixed my sewing machine. I think the upper thread just got caught around the foot somehow, and then when I went to clear out the bobbin casing, I put it back wrong. That's all it was. But anyway, it's on the side seams. Now, okay, so back fits really well. The sleeves are great, a little long, but that's okay. The front, the front definitely, okay, I definitely didn't account for the fact
106.
I have a chest. But I do need to put a band on there, and we'll just make it thick. We'll just make the band super thick. Yeah, that's where we're at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my options for the band. I was thinking of using this black ribbon that I had, but that was more going to be like a trim, and if I fold it over, that's not going to be thick enough. So I think I'm going to have to make my own. Almost like bias tape out of just some black cotton. So I will give it a measure and see how much we need. up actually doing it in 3 panels. So there is a seam across there and then another seam across there. So there's 2 long panels and then 1 short panel. This short panel will be what goes across the back part here. And that was just to make sure that I definitely had enough length. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this right sides together all along the edge and then stitch it on. I'm going to start roughly in the middle up here to make sure that it doesn't move too much. Alright, so we've got that band in place, but before we sort of fold it over and tuck it in like that, I am actually going to do the hem, because then we can tuck it in and it will look all neat and tidy. So I've decided I'm going to miter the corners just to reduce some of the bulk, because if I fold up the hem and then fold up the edge here, that's like just a really sort of chunky corner and I don't like the look of it. Our mitered corner ready to sew. I haven't done the hem yet because I've changed the thread on my machine and I can't be bothered today. But looking pretty good. So that's what the band looks like in the end. So now I just need to, I haven't actually sewed the hem up yet, so I just need to put the hem, actually stitch the hem. And then do the sleeves. I'll probably take maybe that-ish much off the sleeves. And then we're done. Oh, and of course we've got to put the kanji character on the back. So now we have a nicely hemmed coat. So now I just need to do the sleeves. Open it there. That looks pretty good actually. Maybe another centimetre down from that because it's slightly too short. But that looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and hem that and then we can work on doing the back. So now I'm going to press this, press the edge under and then I will top stitch it down. I decided to just hand sew the hem of the sleeves because I don't really want like a harsh top stitching on the outside of this. I think it'll look much nicer without it. So here we go. I accidentally went and got a knot in my thread right in the middle of a stitch. You see the knot? That's really annoying. This is why I hate hand sewing with a passion. There we go. It's feeling, oopsies, sorry. It's feeling pretty good. Awesome. So now we just need to do the back circle. So I've got two options. First one is using vinyl for both the red circle and the black lettering. The second option is to basically applique a circle of red fabric onto the back and then do the black lettering on top of the fabric. So what I might do is do a couple of tests with a square of the green fabric. The other thing to note as well is that my vinyl is, I don't know if you can tell on camera, it doesn't really show up that well, but the vinyl is a slightly darker red, which I think looks a little better. So I might do a couple of tests, small tests, on just like a little square of green, extra green fabric that I've got. I'll do a small version of it just to see what one I like better. Alright, so I have weeded my red circle and my kanji. So now, like my practice versions. So now I'm just going to cut out a square of my green fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and place my red vinyl circle down, and I'm going to go ahead and press that on a low heat setting with another piece of scrap fabric over the top of it. I do not have a fancy heat press. I am just using my iron on a really low, like, silk wool heat setting. I'm just going to apply even pressure for about 30 to 40 seconds. Take that off, and I'm going to let it cool completely. Alright, so now that it's completely cool, alright, take this off, and that is looking really good. And it's actually matte, which the packaging didn't tell me if it was matte or shiny, so I was really worried it was going to be shiny, which is why I got the fabric as a backup. But I think, so far, I'm thinking I'm going to end up going with this. Anyway, so we're going to line this up roughly. Oh, it doesn't help that I cut this kind of skew with, so it's like hard to get it in the middle. Oh, my iron is yelling at me. Cat break. Hey, Charlie. Hi, buddy. Alright, watch what you're doing. Cool. And there's the reveal. I, for one, think it looks really cool. That is basically what it's going to look like. Oh, it's upside down. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. Okay, yeah, cool. I think I like the vinyl. I was going to have a go at doing... So, like, I don't know if you can tell, but the black is shiny, but the red isn't. I was going to have a go with the red fabric, but you can kind of tell the color difference on the camera now. Not really. It's not really picking it up. But I think I like the vinyl. It's easier, it's cleaner. I get a really nice clean circle. There's no stitching. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this. Alright, let's head back downstairs and scale it up. Alright, so I have cut out my vinyl. You really can't see the circle, but that's fine. So now I'm going to weed it. Oopsies, bumped the shelf. Cool, there is our red spot. Aside, and now for the symbol. Nice. There we go, I've just finished ironing the circle on. Dog Brick, hey Bentley. Hi baby, how you doing? Good boy. But I'm really stoked with that. I think that looks really good. Alright, so here she is in all her glory with the symbol on the back. I'm pretty stoked. I feel like it maybe could have been slightly bigger, but I'm not mad about it. I am not mad at all. Awesome. Now, back to the shirt. Alright, so this time for the shirt, I'm going to follow a similar pattern to what I did for the haori, except obviously no sleeves. And instead of cutting it down at the center, I'm going to cut it in almost like a diagonal triangle, but slightly off so that we get some shoulder seams. Okay, now I'm going to cut some binding strip. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is get my back piece and my two front pieces, pin them at the shoulders. Alright, so time to go and get sewing. Alright, so I went ahead and sewed the shoulder seams. So now I need to decide how large I want the armholes to be so that I can do the side seams. Okay, so problem. When I did the measurements for this and I made the pattern, I forgot about the fact that I'm
106.
not two-dimensional. So when these come together, that's what we're left with, which obviously doesn't really make shirt. So what I've decided I'm gonna do, because I now don't have any more fabric to like completely redo the front panels, so what I think I'm gonna do is just attach a side piece, a side panel, in down each side, and it's gonna be from about there down. So cool. I'm gonna do that now. Alright, so I went ahead and added these panels inside, so they're basically just big long rectangles that I then cut off the edge so that it gives the front piece just a little bit more shape and so that it doesn't gape in the front. So I'm now going to go ahead and finish off the armhole with some bias binding, and I'll be back. Okay, so it has been a hot minute since I last worked on this cosplay, not gonna lie. Mostly owing to the fact that I got sick. And I've been sick for a couple of weeks. Still not quite over it, but I'm getting better. And then also my cat had to have surgery, and she's fine. But and this room was kind of her little recovery suite. Still is. She is down beside me. And I haven't really wanted to disturb her while she's been in that really early recovery stage. So yeah, but now we are back into it, and I had to quickly go back and watch the footage to see what the last thing I did was. But I've got the shirt here, and it looks like the last thing I did was the sleeve. However, I was watching Naruto, obviously, the other night, and I realized on this version of it, I actually did the trim wrong. It actually comes up here, it actually comes up and like into this part like this. It doesn't come up all the way around the neckline. So now we were adding that trim around the front so that we don't flash everybody too hard. Okay, so I did have, where is it, one piece that I sort of saved, but I don't think this is going to be, like if I fold this over, this is the piece that I saved, but if I fold this over and then add a seam allowance, that's actually not very wide at all. So what I might do is try and get a second piece that's the same thickness, cut out of my scraps, and then do it that thickness. I think that's going to be better. I'm going to see what I can do, and I'll meet you back. Alright, just so you can kind of see what I've done. So this was my original piece. So I went and cut another strip that was slightly wider so that my seam allowance is on this strip, and I didn't quite have enough fabric to make it the same length, so I just added some more to the ends so that they're both the same length. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew these two together so the seam allowance will end up inside this piece, and then when they come together it will look like this, and then it will wrap around nicely. I hope that made sense. Alright, so here is my giant strip. So I'm going to go and press this seam towards the smaller side just to make it a little bit easier on me. And then going to attach the larger side to the outside of the shirt. Obviously this joint seam here is going to be visible, but I don't think it's like not highly visible, so I think it's going to be fine. We're going to attach that all the way around, fold it over, tuck this under, and stitch it on. Basically the same way that we did this one. Alright, so I've sewn the little strip onto the front, so now I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to press the seam allowance forward just to make it easier, and then we're going to fold this over, press it in half, and then we're going to stitch it in place just like that. And then we will have this beautiful little trim. Alright, so I've gone and pressed this over just slightly past my original stitching. So what I'm going to do is the stitch in the ditch method. So I'm basically going to run my stitches to sew this side down along the ditch of my original stitching. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it should catch it from underneath because I folded it ever so slightly past these stitches. Probably should have pinned it. It's not perfect. There's like some spots where it's sort of, let me see if I can find one, like here. There's some spots here where it sort of comes away, but meh. Alright, so I've given it a quick press. So there it is. Wonderful. So now we just need to do, I feel like it does still gape a little bit, but it could just also be that I'm wearing a t-shirt on underneath this. So there it is. So now we just need to do the trim. So I have marked here just with a couple of pins roughly where I want the trim to go. I put it on myself and checked where I wanted it to sit, which is sort of roughly halfway up, I guess, the armhole. Instead of using ribbon like I did on the last one, I actually just got some unfolded bias binding. Because it's cut on the bias, it's just got a little bit more give to it, so I think it's going to be easier for like going around these curves like that. I'm just going to mark roughly I have done this on the table? Absolutely. I'm gonna do this on the table. Okay, now that I've marked where it's gonna go, let's do that again. Now before I commit to it, I'm just gonna quickly try it on. It could probably go even higher, in all honesty. That's not high enough. I think it needs to come up to like here. I'm just gonna chuck a pin in, way about here. And then we're gonna redo that. Yeah, that looks better. That looks much better. Definitely. Awesome. Alright, I'm going to stitch that on. So now I just need to do the hem. I think I might just overlock the bottom and hem it like that. Just do a bit of a cheat hem. Because you're not really going to see it anyway. I think I'm going to do that. So I just went and did a really basic sort of 1/4 inch hem. I overlocked it and then folded it up and hemmed it. Nothing fancy, but I figured you're not really gonna see it. So it's not like the Haori where like you can see the inside, so you really want it to be nice and neat. And there we go. So that is basically, we just need to do the belt. I don't want to do the belt until after I've done the pants because it's made with the same fabric and I don't want to run out of fabric for the pants. If I have to make the belt out of scraps, it's not so bad. Obviously this belt is the wrong color. So last up, we just need pants. Now, my thought for the pants, I do have a pattern that I use a lot, so I know they're comfy. The Free Range Slacks by Sew House 7, and I believe they have a projector file, which will be even easier. So these pants, these are one of my favourite pairs of pants that I've ever made. They're just really comfy. They've got an elastic waist. They've got pockets, which obviously the shirt will cover so you won't be able to tell, but like I can sneak snacks all around the place. They do have butt pockets, but I will just omit those. And obviously they are quite long, but I will just make them shorter, obviously. Yeah, so I am going to make them out of this fabric here, which is a navy like cotton sateen type of fabric. It does have a small bit of stretch to it, so they will be super duper comfy. Alright, so I have all of the trousers pieces cut out. Now I am going to just go through and start constructing them basically. I do have the instructions printed out. I won't go through every single step with you guys because it is a commercial pattern. It's not something that I'm just making up on the spot. But yeah, so we're going to start with putting the pockets on. I haven't made these in ages. We're going to start with putting the front pockets on by the looks of it. We're skipping the back pockets. And then doing the side seams. Let's get started. just realised I don't have any matching thread. Let's see what options we've got. Not gonna lie, none of these options actually look great. I'm gonna have to go to the craft store, aren't I? Alright. Okay, so an outfit change, an iced coffee, and a trip to the fabric store later. Success! We have some matching thread. So I just took this swatch with me to the craft store, and this is pretty much a perfect match. So I'm gonna use this. So I just need to make myself a quick bobbin, and then I can get started on the pants finally. This is the inside of the pocket. I did overlock around the exterior edge of that. So now I'm just lining up the pocket with the front pant leg, lining up those notches. This is just like a piece of pocket that I'm stitching. I'm going to go ahead and pin it to the front of the pants so that we can top stitch around it. I don't know if you can see on the pants that I'm wearing, but the pocket is basically like top stitched to them. You can kind of see it because the fabric's really faded now. Now the pocket is pinned in place, I am going to go ahead and baste the top and the side in. This is where the front seam and the waistband seam are going to be, so they just need to be basted for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and top stitch around the outside of the pocket so that it's secure. I'm then going to run a line of stitching down this line here to secure the top of the pocket in place. Okay, so the pockets have been sewn in. Pockets work. Nice. Okay, and that's what they look like on the inside. So I was too lazy to change the thread on my overlocker to black, which would arguably have looked a whole lot better. Excuse me, ma'am. Black would have looked much better, but I'm lazy. Next step. I have pinned the side panel to the back pieces of pants, so now I'm ready to sew. So I went ahead and pinned the rise, the crotch seam basically is what it is. So I basically put one leg inside the other and pinned it. So now it's time to sew that up. So I've gone ahead and sewn the rise. So now I'm going to quickly try them on for fit before I go ahead and finish those edges, because otherwise it's just going to be a pain if I have to go back in and change it. They actually don't look too bad, in all honesty. They are like a little loose, particularly like around the knee, but you know, they're actually not too bad, especially once we bring this waistband in with the elastic. I think they're going to be super comfy. The rise of them is fine. There's nothing wrong with the rise, but they're definitely not quite tight enough, particularly like around the knee and the thigh. So I think I'm going to take them in on that inseam just slightly. I might turn them inside out and pin them to where I roughly think that they will need to sit. I went and tried them on inside out, pinned them to where I thought they needed doing. I've only done the left leg so far. Sewed them up and tried them back on. I'm not sure if you can tell the really subtle difference. It's only a subtle difference, but it's enough that they just look much nicer. They look like they fit much better. This side looks like it's a size and a half too big, which it kind of is because I made the next size up thinking that would fit me better. Anyway, So this side just looks much nicer. They are also way too long, obviously, but we're gonna do the elastic first, get the waistband right before we decide on the length. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is cut off the excess fabric that's still in here, and finish the seam, and then match it up on this inseam to make sure that we cut off the same amount on both sides, and then finish the seam as well. And then we can get started on the waistband. I have understitched and pressed the waistband down, ready to go, ready to sew it in place and get the elastic in. It is a new day. I'm showered, I'm coffeeed, and I'm ready to finish these freaking pants. Yesterday, we put the waistband facing in and basically pressed it into place. So now the only thing that I really need to do is top stitch it into place, put the elastic in, and then we'll be good to go. And then we just need to hem them, and then we'll be finished, yay! And then I can just do the belt, and then that's basically the whole cosplay done. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about today. So we've left that little gap in the middle. It's puckered a little bit, which is a shame, but it's at the back, I don't really care. So now I'm just basically gonna take my elastic, figure out how much I want, add a couple centimeters of seam allowance to one end, put it into the waistband, close up the waistband, or close the elastic, close the waistband, and then we can work on the hem. It was about there. Try and even this out somewhat. And I'm also trying at the same time to untwist it. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew this elastic together, one on top of the other. Oh, so I've done just a little zigzag pattern there, so it's nice and secure. Oh, and now I'm going to go ahead and close off the rest of that waistband seam there. Alright, so the waistband is officially completed. So now we can try them on. They are looking and feeling pretty good. Probably could have made the waistband a bit tighter, but it's fine. Oh my god, I love the fact that I put pockets on. Now we just need to figure out the length. We kind of want them to hit just below the knee, right? But obviously there's a hem I marked with a pin where the pants should sit on me, and then I'm gonna mark with some chalk that line plus the seam allowance, which will be probably about 2.5 centimeters. Then I can press them and hem them. Oh my god, they're already covered in cat fur. Nice. Alright, so that was where I pinned there, so we're gonna be cutting off, what is that? About another 6.5 inches. Straight across, line it up. And cut. Beauty. Now I'm going to press 1/2 inch and then another inch, and then we can do some hand sewing. tell all that hand sewing took a while just by the fact that my hair's almost dry. Time to start working on the belt. Looking at how much fabric we have left, it's gonna be a challenge. This is basically how much fabric we have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna cut as many strips as I possibly can and see what we come up with. So I think we got enough. I now need to go and join them all together and then hem them. And have I ever mentioned how much I hate hemming? I may have made it too long. This is it folded in half. It's very long. So instead of just hemming the whole thing, I am going to fold it over and sew down each side, then flip it right side out. I'm going to do a little trick. Attach a piece of ribbon into the corner and sew it so that it sits down the middle, and then you can just pull on the ribbon to get it to turn inside out. It works really well for really long things like this. So I'm going to sew this, pull it round the right way, and then iron it, and then hopefully we'll be done. What I'm actually going to do with the end of that ribbon, I'm going to chuck my bodkin onto the end of that ribbon. That's not a bodkin, that's a needle, just to make it a little bit easier to find it later. Now in theory, I should be able to bring the rest of this ribbon through. I can get this to go in on itself, like that. Yeah, there we go. Ta-da! And then we just trim this off. Now I'm going to go and press this so that it's looking nice and slick, and then we can try everything on together. Alright, so that is the belt finished, the pants hemmed, and we're done! Overall, I am super happy with how it turned out. I do feel like maybe it's missing something though. So, what have I learned from doing this cosplay? For starters, check your measurements twice. Also, I need some more practice doing makeup and wig styling. Yeah, but I also had a lot of fun. What was the total cost? Right, this is an interesting one. Everything is in New Zealand dollars because that's where I live, that's where I bought everything. So the shirt, the grey fabric was about $8 a metre. I bought 3 metres, but I only used about half, so about $10 for the shirt fabric. And the trim that I used was $1.75 a metre, and I got 3 metres, so it was about $5.25. Pants, that was the most expensive fabric. It was on sale, it was about $12 a metre, and I got 2.5, so that was $30. The hoodie was $10 a metre, and I got 2 metres, so $20. The black trim was fabric that I already had, so I'm not going to count that. And then the vinyl was about $30 for the red iron-on vinyl. I didn't use a lot of it, so I'm just going to count like $5 towards that, and then the black vinyl I already own, so I'm not going to count that. So in total, all of this, not including things like thread, bits that I already own, the wig, that kind of stuff, in total, the fabric alone and the trims cost me $70.25, which for an entire outfit is not actually too bad. I did get a lot of stuff on sale. Sorry, this wig is really bothering me. I did get a lot of stuff on sale. I do make sure to shop the sales because fabric is expensive. That is me as Tsunade. Tune in to see what we do next time. Bye!